Hello and welcome back to Sosnovka. I'm sorry it's been a while, I'll explain as we go along. Anyway, it's the middle of the night and we are stealing land. If you followed us so far, you'll know that we're making about $4,000 a day probably with what we got. 10 cows, 2 fields and a little bit of ingenuity. But it's time to make a little bit of an expansion and move forward. Also within the next couple of days we will be receiving our full complement of 20 more cows, taking us up to 30, so we can really start cracking on with things. And also we will be touring the map a little more, doing some forestry and making money in various ways. Basically, I've started this game the way I start nearly all my games, is seeing what you can do with what you start with, rather than rushing out making $1 million worth of wood chips, finding the gold nuggets, making silage. I like to just see what we've got and then take it from there, and that really is the interest in the game for me, and hopefully that's the interest in the game for some of you. But anyway, there are these 2 patches of land up on Sosnovka. I'll show you on the map shortly where they are, that you can just help yourself to. Really, there is a very tiny area up in the very top right hand corner of the map, but you need tiny equipment to even get in there. It's not really worth the effort. But anyway, while I bimble around with the map here, we are right over here by town, and we are basically ploughing out these back gardens. Well, they used to be back gardens, and this area here next to field 8. And we're basically going to end up with about half the area of that field 8, which I think means we're stealing about $60,000 to $65,000 of land, which is absolutely magnificent. And the man from the ministry can't say a word about it. There's been lots of changes. Nobody's going to notice. We're not going to plant these fields immediately. I'm going to have a little think and a ponder about the best way forward for those 2 fields. They're right across the map. So we're going to have to get the harvester there, and we'll see how we are. Anyway, back to our farm. As I said, we're making about $4,000 a day. We can bring the wage costs down. Vehicle running costs we're kind of stuck with. Leasing costs, they're manageable. I think that's working out okay, and we'll explore those a little more once we get out and about a little bit more on the map and get some specialist equipment for specialised jobs. So I'm going to get into a bit of a routine of doing a few logs in the morning, just to top the money up. We really need a little bit of room for expansion. We've got about we've got $100,000 left on the loan. That's going to pay for the last of our cows to bring us up to our full complement of 30. Anything else we want to do, we're going to have to get the credit with the man from the ministry by just doing little odd jobs around the place. Anyway, there we go. $3,300 worth of wood for today. A nice little top up, and 5-10 minutes worth of work. Also, if we expand field wise, it's going to be this way, so we may as well do jobs for this guy, try and get the price of his field down to something a little bit more manageable, because $69,000 seems like a huge amount of money right now. I'm just flicking through the equipment to see which one will give me the best price for doing the job. As I think I've mentioned before, if you look for smaller equipment and it's going to take you longer, you'll get more money, so it's up to you really. Gonna flash forward through this just again to impress on you that you do need to be quite exact. I've missed some very little bits, but I've got away with it here. But when you do your jobs, you can actually miss the time penalty just by having to go back and do the bits you didn't think mattered. And there you go. So we've got $7,500 for doing a job. That's a good bit of money. And if you actually think about it, between the wood that we've just cut down and that one job, we've made about 2.5 days profit that we would have made from the normal operating of the farm. So this is where these little odd jobs can really give you a boost, and that's exactly what we're going to start doing. Now we'll let the team get on with their usual daily routine of turning and burning these fields. They know exactly what to do. Here's my very, very dirty tractor. Excuse me, I don't know if we'll ever have the money to get that jet wash, or we'll just have to hope it rains and make sure all the equipment's outside when it does, because that can give them a little bit of a spruce up. Here we are, just doing the yard work, topping things up. I love the front loader. Doing these little jobs, if you do have trouble with front loaders, I mean, if you can kind of just convince yourself to do these little odd jobs using it and doing it manually, then that's basically how you're going to learn. Do stick with it. Once you get the hang of the controls, They are the most versatile piece of equipment you've got on the farm for all sorts of reasons, and can make you some very good money, as hopefully you will be seeing when we get out in the woods, because the woods here, although they don't look much, are absolutely spectacular. And we're definitely going to have a word with a guy over there at the timber mill to see if we can go and get some trees for him. I do sometimes go inside the vehicles, I do, and I love the detail. They're brilliant. I love the fact this one has no distracting radio. I'm not sure, it's getting a little bit grubby, but wait until you see the inside of the tractors. There's a little seat there for the trainee harvester driver. And basically you've seen the field routine, and again, one of my aims with each farm really, especially playing it this way, is to just get that as self-managing as possible, so I can go and do things like this again. Off, do a little job with the front loader, pick up some more of the fertiliser. And I know I could just drive this trailer next to some Pat's fertiliser, press the button and they empty into it, but you know, I like to actually do some of this stuff myself. And here we are heading back to the farm in one of the dirtiest tractors I'm afraid I've ever had to drive. But again, I love the detailing, I love the little bits of effort they put into them. I'm not happy that it would appear that in the last few months at some stage, the New Holland that you start with on Goldcrest Farm has had its steering wheel straightened. Now, I hope that wasn't because New Holland complained, because that would be really sad, because I love little characterful things like that, especially in older equipment. But a couple of cars like that myself. Anyway, here we are back with our express top-up delivery of seed and fertiliser. Keep the whole process rolling along. Now really we're at the point where certainly the bigger tractor and the harvester could probably just get on with the fields themselves. It would take them a little bit longer overall. It wouldn't cost us really any more in labour, because we're still doing the same amount of work. But that would give us a bit of chance to pop off and explore. And once you get to that stage, I mean, that's when you can really start getting into the map, going and doing some forestry, going and doing your mowing, which again, once we've got the 30 cows, we're going to have to get much busier on that front. We're going to have to get into baling, I think. We're going to have to get some rations mixed, so we are producing the best milk in the Republic. And here we go, another little bit of me actually doing some work, some useful field work. Oh my god, that's so dirty. Nice little animation. The animations look fantastic, don't they, from inside the tractor, but when you actually look at those fill animations, it kind of splashes on an imaginary barrier. But I'm not really complaining about that. They're really the minor details. Here's a worker getting stuck up. Again, as I think I've mentioned before, they're very good at the items on the map and avoiding and navigating them, sometimes to an amazing degree. But if you park something that they don't like, then they'll get upset. But he can manually load, and of course never forget that many of these harvesters, not all harvesters, but many of them, they do have a back hitch, so he can even get the obstruction out the way himself and get on, save me having to come back with a tractor and do the job for him, which is always good. And it's just a normal routine through the fields. This little fertilizer spreader, it is my favourite, unless you're playing the game or you're playing seasons when things are done very differently. This guy just fits in between what the other guys are doing on the field. I just find him so much more useful. You have to kind of sit and wait and stop things to use the wider fertilizer spreaders. He's always in there. There we are, hitching the trailers up. We're going to go and sell our stuff. Now we've got the barley that we've just harvested from the field, and in 17 barley is a much better cash crop than it was previously, as me driving to the drop-off point rather than the pick-up point. Yeah, its volume is higher than wheat, but its price isn't as low as it was, so it's actually quite a competitive crop. And soybeans that seem in this game certainly to be quite a reliable one, and that the volumes that we're kind of moving, that we're never really going to affect the price very badly. And the market in this game does fluctuate a little bit more up and down. In fact, as we're going to see, if you keep an eye on the price of the soy at the grain elevator, that's going to get over 900 within a couple of hours without much else going on. Now we're up in town, behind the buildings in front of us there, over to the right there, that's one area that we ploughed out last night under cover of darkness. And then as we pass this very imposing looking building, we're approaching the vegetable warehouse, and this whole complex here, that whole ploughed out area, that's ours to exploit. And I don't know where we're going to go with that yet. This might be something we don't actually plant grain in. I'm thinking grass, maybe baling. Let's see how we get on when the 30 cows arrive. And yeah, we could maybe position ourselves up here for occasionally to get on with some mowing. There is so much grass to be mown on this map though. I don't know if we really want to invest land in planting grass. Another quick price check. As you can see, the price of that soy at the grain warehouse has already gone up about $70 just while we were driving up here pretty much. And that can catch you out. As I say, I'm not too worried. I'm certainly not shifting volumes, but do keep a close eye on prices. They can move all of their own accord, up and down. Now, we're at the transport company, and we're here for a reason. I remember this footage is quite old. It's February 18 now. This is about a year old, this footage. I was checking these trains again, and now we're at the transport company. Yes, we are. And had a train similar to the one that didn't trigger the second payment like it used to yesterday. I quite like the way they've done that. I guess it makes it a little bit more predictable. Also, I don't really like it. I get a little bit bored with a map when there's one way on a map to just consistently make more money, because it's hard to resist doing that, and you know, you miss out on some of the experience really. And that's one of the things I like about the way we're playing this. Maybe that we're going to sell every day. We will be more careful about the prices in future, perhaps. We're on the drive back now, and this is one of the nicest areas of the map as far as I'm concerned. And you may notice once we get past this area of the map, which is all fir trees, the area we're passing now is the famous mowing mission from Farm Sim 15, where some money could be accumulated. And now we're heading into this section of the map, and this is where nearly all of the trees in most mod maps come from, all these deciduous trees. They're all lifted from Sosnovka, so let's call that a big contribution from this beautiful map. It's quite odd actually. Goldcrest Valley is all fir trees apart from birch trees in some gardens and in some areas such as the BGA, and one huge elm tree which I might have to cut down just to see if it's some kind of magic tree. But anyway, now this is a nice map. I haven't played this one on Seasons yet. Probably looks quite good. But right, we're approaching the end of the day, and what we've got to do in the next episode, and there will be one more hopefully, please guys leave me a comment, somebody say yes or something, that you actually took any notice of this after all this time. I want to get the rest of the cows in, get up to 30 cows. We're going to get some baling done. We're probably going to get a little bit of cheeky silaging done. And oh look, the second payment has come through, so that train has gone somewhere, and I think that's double the payment. In fact, yeah, I know it is double the payment. Now that has been patched out, and I'm glad it has, for the reason I said before. I don't know if that was a one-off glitch, because I hadn't tried that before at that point. And no, I'm glad it's gone, because as I say, if the map makes you just play one way over and over and over again, I don't think it's actually a very good map. It has a... Now it's the end of the day. I'm looking at the numbers as usual, and we need to, well, one of the biggest changes here, certainly for hard mode, is as you can see, this is quite old footage, and my loan was maxed out at 200,000. When I come back to play the game now, that's been patched, and I can get another $100,000 and, you know, increase my loan. In a sense, I kind of don't like that, because it removes that real ability to play the game in hard mode, you know. But then again, in terms of this, and you guys perhaps watching along with me for a while, it gives us a bit more flexibility, and we're going to get those other 20 cows for that $100,000. We've also managed to save some money, and in the next part we will spend some money and go and make some more money. That's the plan anyway. Now if you look at our overall costs for the day, you know, it's just over £3,000 for the vehicles, leasing costs plus animal upkeep are about 900. Obviously that's going to go up 800. So the cows are going to just really cover those costs, the basic costs, to quite an extent. Really means that everything we can get out of the fields and any secondary incomes will be, pure profit basically, which will be good. Grinding this game, which I'd probably quite happily do at a $4,000 a day profit. This is the kind of playthrough I'd do in 15 and in 13 with the classic pack, but that's not out for this game. Don't know if it will be. If anyone knows, please let me know in a comment. We've made over $7,500 today doing some jobs, and a job, and it was 20 minutes long, but it's 20 minutes well spent. That was double our base profit, and that's the way I play the game. Little ways of boosting the money, rather than going and grinding out millions and millions and millions, and then buying the biggest stuff right from day one. Anyway, thanks very much if you spent the time to watch through this. Please leave me some kind of comment, say hello. I have got more stuff to do, some seasons. Altenburg is beautiful. Altenstein. Getting a bit confused with World of Tanks there, I think. So yeah, welcome back if you've been before, and welcome for the very first time if you've not. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.